9 seconds of animation. That's what you're looking at. And drawing it frame by frame by hand was a genuine eye opener. I'll be straight with you, I hadn't drawn anything by hand for over 25 years, not since I left school. And I felt every bit of that rust. The hand remembers far less than you'd like, and those first drawings were humbling. The grind itself I expected, because animation is grind, that's not news. What got under my skin was something I could only feel by doing it. Early on, I made a decision I'd animate on twos, that's 2 frames per drawing, partly for time, but mostly to keep myself sane. And here's the thing, the masters who did the original, they drew it on ones. A new drawing for every single frame of film. That's 24 every second. I halved the workload just to survive those 9 seconds. They did the whole thing on once. That's like 10,000 drawings for a 7-minute show. And they made what, something like 160 odd episodes of this? And I drew 9 seconds on twos. And that was a humbling experience. None of that surprised me. It was always going to be a mountain of work. But living even a fraction of it with my own rusty hand is where the respect comes from. Not from reading about it, but from feeling it. And remember, these were cartoons that the world filed them away as just Saturday morning fillers. The craft rivals anything that was made for cinema at the time. If they held themselves to that standard in 1950s, what standard should I hold myself to? It says everything. Since the first episode, I've had something I wanted to say. Here it is. I don't usually talk about AI. I watch and I try to understand before I react. And I'm not an AI hater. It does genuinely valuable things in medicine, research, and accessibility. My skepticism is narrower than that. I'm wary of how businesses are rushing to bolt an infant, unproven technology onto creative work. And in this regard, if you look up Ed Zitron, that's the school of thought I reside in. And there's one line I keep seeing on LinkedIn and other social media is that it's not AI that will replace you, it is someone who's well equipped with AI or learned AI, he's the one who's going to take your job. And I'm thinking, first of all, that doesn't apply to all industries. Even if AI does get to that point, which evidence suggests that it's not. Um, but I think it just conflates the skill with the tool, and that conflation matters. And whether AI is even a tool is another argument altogether. But but that's the claim. AI is a tool. You just have to learn it and get ahead. And I'm thinking, well, Aaron Blaise made Snow Bear all by hand. I think it took him 3 years because it was all him and one other person helping him. And and yeah, it over 5.5 million people already viewed it on YouTube. And yeah, it's a genuinely beautiful film that was made by someone with loads of experience in animation and storytelling, and therefore it was compelling. It was brilliant. At the end of the day, Aaron Blaise had the choice whether to use AI or not. And whatever he puts out there, he will get ahead because he's that good. So the focus really should be how to get good at the skill, at the very thing that you are putting in front of the audience. And the tool should never matter. The tool does not really matter. AI is still not able to put Aaron Blaze behind because it cannot match the level of skill that he has. And this is why these statements like this can be dangerous to the future generation because they'll be thinking, oh, if I don't learn AI, I can't get ahead. And they'll ignore the fundamentals and they'll never understand whatever 100 videos they put. Why don't they match the quality of someone like Aaron Blaze, who's just sitting there in the studio drawing frame by frame by hand? And this is the sort of thing that just hit me. This channel exists because I believe that making something slowly by hand is worth doing. Not as a protest, not as nostalgia, because the process itself is the point. Something happens in your brain when you draw frame by frame that generating an image cannot replicate. The slow build of understanding, the moment a movement clicks, and you feel it in your hand before you see it on the screen. Scientists call this flow. I call it the 1 hour a day where my brain stops worrying about everything else that's going on in the world. The pressure of a full working day is displaced by this slow, deliberate one drawing at a time. The dopamine arrives slowly and it lasts. In a world moving faster than any of us can really comprehend, choosing the slow path not because it's easier, but because it's richer, feels rare and increasingly necessary. Unprompted frames is my version of that choice, made public so maybe it gives someone else the permission to make theirs. I'm exhausted. The work that went into what you just watched, a rough hand drawn pencil animation of a cat, was more than I expected. More than I think anyone outside the process fully sees. Coming back to art after this long is not easy. But isn't that the point? It is supposed to be hard. The difficulty is not the problem to be solved, it's the mechanism. The resistance is what makes it valuable. The slow release is what makes it last. I should have started this something like 30 years ago. But I'm here now, and so are you. Next project, Jerry. See you there.